Hello and welcome back to the Blueberry Funded Trader Spotlight, where we sit down with some of the most talented traders in our ecosystem, ask some questions, and get to know how they became the trader that they are today, their journey, their strategy, and really their overall approach to trading. Today, I'm excited to introduce Ritch, who's one of the standout traders in our community, who's had some very impressive performance and has received a payout from Blueberry Funded. So, Ritch, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's definitely our pleasure. So, how we usually get into this is we dive in and try to understand, your journey as a trader. So, I guess to begin, can you tell us a bit about your trading journey or how you got into trading originally?
Originally, I was introduced to trading by a friend, a good friend of mine. He was already into it for a few years, and he thought this might be something that I would be good at or that I would enjoy. And he gave me like a small lesson on it, and after that, I was hooked, and I just dived into it.
Fantastic. And was that originally on prop trading or on brokerage accounts, or what sort of trading did you get introduced to the space with?
He just showed me how to open a demo account on MetaTrader, and that's about it. I didn't really know anything else.
Fantastic. And how long ago was that? How long have you been a trader for?
I think 2021 is when I was introduced to it. But I was not doing it like every day since then. I think I took a few breaks here and there because it wasn't working immediately, as you can expect. But yeah, it's from 2021, so it's been a while.
Okay, fantastic. And I think you raise a good point. I think trading's never a linear journey. It has its ups and downs, periods where you trade a lot and periods where you don't trade at all. I guess in those periods where you stop trading or what was it that made you stop trading and what were some of the biggest challenges that you had as a trader, when you were starting out?
Well, I was working at the time, so I didn't have that much time to be fully into it. And with trading, you really need to dedicate a lot of time to yeah, to understand the markets and to find your way of seeing it and trading it. So mostly it was just a combination of no immediate success and the fact that I had a job where I was making good money. So I didn't really need trading in that sense. But where it kind of leveled up is then when I stopped, when I quit my job and went full into trading. That's when the results started coming actually.
If you don't mind me asking, if you were making sort of good money working, what made you, you didn't have time for trading. What made you make the change and then move into trading full time? Because I've met a lot of people who've been in a similar position, and I find it very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a religious person. I believe in God, and I just felt him saying to me that I should move away from this job that it was bad for me and just go into trading. So I trusted in it and went for trading. And also it's just the freedom that it gives, right? You you're not stuck to a schedule. You're not stuck under a boss who tells you what to do. And yeah, I think it's better to
I
live like that.
I think it's a great point. And even like I respect and really like the religious element of it. And I think there is some calling when it comes to trading, which, some people have, some people don't have. There's something that just they gravitate to. Maybe it's the freedom, maybe it's the challenge of it, but there's something that draws people in. And so I think that's a really amazing story. But I've met many people in a similar situation. So many traders that were like in very high paying careers, lawyers, doctors, and engineers. And, they're already making this great money, but they switched into trading full time. And when I was younger, I couldn't understand it. I was like, what was the point? You're already making great money. And the thing is,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, it's not great money on their terms. It's not great money, in something they're really passionate about. And the thing is, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, those careers make sense. There's a general narrative to it that we all understand. We know how someone becomes a doctor. We know how someone becomes an engineer. The thing about trading is we don't know how you become a great trader is such a chaotic, crazy story, and it almost doesn't make sense in a way. And I think if you can
Yeah.
tame the markets or a trading strategy, that breaks a lot of sort of rules of society or things that just make sense. Because in a way, it doesn't make sense. I think you do to go in and be a trader, you actually have to be a bit crazy in a few ways. And that's where that calling I was talking about, exists, I think. So I really love that story, or sort of, how you switched out from career into trading and, made that move, because a lot of great traders do the same thing. Because sort of doing it on your own terms is a very empowering thing. Um, but I guess
Yeah.
moving into the actual trading side, like what trading strategies do you usually implement? Like what's your approach to trading day to day?
I have a lot of different strategies. I can do swing trading. I can do scalping. It just depends what I'm seeing in front of me. But on your prop firm on Blueberry, I do mostly swing trading because there are some lot size restrictions that don't allow for scalping intraday that much. So, but I have developed systems for every market condition, basically.
And that's very interesting, and that's fantastic to hear. Um, because I think when we usually talk to people on these interviews and in general, people are, they're an ICT trader, they're a swing trader. They
Mm,
do one very specific thing, and I guess if the market doesn't allow for it, they just don't trade, which is a smart thing to do because, if there's no trade available, don't take it or don't force anything. If you're not seeing the signals. But the bad part of that is like, the market might not have conditions for one strategy, but it does have them for another. So instead of
yeah.
sitting on your hands and doing nothing, if you're able to master multiple strategies, and the key thing is to know when those conditions present themselves and which strategy it matches, you can always find great opportunities. So you're probably one of the first people we've spoken to in this series, Rich, that sort of alternate strategies, I guess. But I guess that brings up my next question: is what sort of conditions are required to switch between scalping and swing trading? Because people do both of those ongoing all the time. So some people might argue there's always opportunities for a swing trade or a large price action movement, or there's always opportunities to scalp. But you're here sort of picking like this isn't the right time to do this strategy, but it is for that one. What's your process in sort of determining which one to go with at any given time in the market?
It's just, as I said, it's what I see in front of me in that moment, you know. If I see a setup, I'll take it. Doesn't matter which system it is. And I think this came from me being very impatient, and I had a huge problem with over trading in the past. Just taking trades that were not aligned with my system, or trades that I shouldn't take, like didn't fully fit the rules of what I'm supposed to have. Um, and so I just started developing trading models like 10 hours a day. I would focus on finding new ways that I can profit from the market. And in the end, I've developed so many strategies that I can just always take a trade pretty much.
I kind of love that. The cure for over trading is to find more strategies that can always sort of find trades that are out there, because really, look, obviously, look, at Blueberry we hate over trading. Like our rules, and you pointed out before, they can be on the stricter side, for certain strategies or certain things, and the main ethos behind that is to encourage sustainable trading, and that means we don't want people to overtrade. That's why we have the
Yeah.
lot size rules, we have position stacking rules, a lot of things like that to sort of um, I always say, you know, the biggest enemy in trading is yourself most of the time. We're trying to prevent people being their own worst enemies. But, most of our methods to stop over trading is in the rules. But I think you've come up with, and I can relate to that too, because I'm a very, by nature, impatient person. I like to do things. I
Mm.
like to always find something to do. And that's always been a downside of my trading. But I think a cure for that, like you're saying, is well, it's about finding and learning and understanding and testing many, many strategies and then knowing when to implement them. So it's something different. I'm not going to lie. I don't think we've talked to someone on this before who's thought like that, but I actually really like it, and it's making me think even out loud about a lot of ideas relating to that. Um, but apart from the strategy side, when it comes to managing risk, and I guess this will change based on which strategy you're doing. Like, what's your like go-to way to manage risk on your trades and ensure long-term profitability?
Always 1% per trade, usually less. I think on the funded account with Blueberry, I risked always only 0.5% per trade. Um, so yeah, I keep the risk really low. Only with scalping, I use a bit higher risk. Like I might have a really wide stop loss, just to catch like, 15 points on Nasdaq. So I'll be risking like 1,000 to make 500, something like that. Other than that, yeah, usually really low risk.
Okay. And I guess so you started off, I remember you saying before you started off originally on demo trading. You're now here doing prop challenges, getting payouts from us. What point in your journey did you make the transition to trading with prop firms, and how did that come about, and how's the journey of trading on prop firms been for you?
So I think the first time I developed like my own strategy, that's when I started getting into the prop firms because I thought like, okay, now now I know everything. Now I can do prop firms. And initially I blew like couple thousand euros on challenges because I just wasn't ready for it. So I gave the prop firms a rest until actually I think this year in June, June or July, I think I started getting into prop firms again, and um, yeah, I was able to get funded with multiple prop firms just because trading personal capital, it's nice. The conditions are always really good on these brokers, and but you just don't have that possibility to scale as much as with the prop firm. So that's why I'm still starting to get into it. Actually, I haven't been into the prop firms for that long.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we always say here, obviously being a brokerage and a prop firm, like we don't see them as fully competing products. Like, we call them and products, not all products. Like, because we know that there are times and strategies where a broker is going to suit a trader more, and there's going to be times, strategies that a prop firm is going to work for them. But it's about giving people options ultimately. And I think that's a very good
Yeah,
point. There's times where the value proposition of a prop firm is great for the money down and the upside and the scaling potential. But there might be times or strategies or market conditions where having the flexibility on your own money is valuable. And I think that's a very important thing for traders to understand. But I guess you were saying you've gotten funded with multiple prop firms, and I'm curious as to why you originally chose Blueberry Funded to take out a challenge with.
I don't know actually. I don't know how that happened. I can't remember, but I
Was it
believe.
the calling again, like your switch into trading before? Just something came to you to choose Blueberry Funded?
Yeah, it must have been like an ad that popped up, and I just liked it and went for it. But I know why I stayed with Blueberry because like the conditions are, I mean, the trading conditions, like the execution, the spreads, and all that stuff, I think is really good. So I think that's why I stayed and bought more challenges with you guys.
Fantastic. I mean, I feel very lucky for you to have come across this, by luck, but I'm glad that you've stayed out of choice, and out of the conditions we have. Just some shameless self promotion. We are connected to Blueberry Market, so we have that access to tier one liquidity, which
Hmm.
a lot of out of the box run of the mill prop firms can't get. So that is kind of the value of that's reflected in the conditions we offer, and the tight spreads on things like gold and index markets. So I'm very glad you've been able to benefit from that, and is a reason you've chosen to stay with us ongoing after coming across us. Um, what advice would you give to traders, looking to pass a challenge? Like, what were some of the big mistakes you made on the prop side? Because I remember you saying you blew some accounts originally after, buying a few challenges. So yeah, what were some of your, biggest losses? How did you recover from it? And yeah, what lessons are there in that for traders looking to pass a challenge and get to a payout?
I think the best advice I could give is that just don't rush it because I know how I was, and I know probably how many other traders are. They just want to get, the max allocation. They want to get the big like payouts. They want to rush it. They want to do it all immediately because they are impatient, maybe just as I was, and that's why I got kind of slapped in the face in the beginning. Just take your time. First of all, make sure that you have an edge that is really, I mean, that 100% is profitable because that's gonna help with your over trading and stuff. Also, if you know that if you just wait for the trade, you have a high chance of succeeding. Um, develop your own edge. Don't look at other traders and try to copy what they're doing. Just mess around with the charts. Like go on TradingView and put on a few indicators or whatever, however you like to trade, and find something that works for you. Because if you develop your own trading strategy, your own system, you're automatically gonna have way more trust in it. At least that's how I am. That's how I see it. So yeah, that's what I would say.
And I can definitely agree with that because I think so many people are out there trying to buy strategies, learn strategies, buy courses, mentorships. But the thing I've always said is like true edge is something that it doesn't have to necessarily be personal, but it needs to be niche in a way. And there's nothing more niche than
Yeah,
building something yourself from scratch. Because I always say the more people trading a strategy, and this isn't just like, you know, ideology, it's market mechanics. The more people that are trading a strategy, hitting the book, hitting the you know the market at the same time, you know, the worse the fills will get as they go further down an order book, and the less successful a strategy is en masse. You know, if you're reading about it, it's too late, as I always say. But nothing's going
yeah,
to have more edge than something you make yourself and master because not as many people are using it. And also psychologically, I never thought of it like that, but you raise a good point because if you've built it, you're going to have a lot more trust in that. If you've, you know, you've failed using a strategy time and time again to develop it, you've back tested it, you've put a lot of time into it, you're going to have more trust in what you're doing if you've done that rather than, you know, you just bought something and like an EA on the internet and you just give it a go. Um,
yeah.
I think that's really sound advice for people watching, and I'm glad you've brought that up. Um, but yeah, it seems you've had quite a journey in trading. You know, going from doing it part time alongside your job to leaving your job to trade full time. You know, now moving into the prop space and getting payouts. What's your long term goal? You know, with trading, or where do you see yourself being over the next few years? You know, on this journey.
Mm, I think I don't have like a long-term goal, but I have like a goal for the next year, like 2026. I would like to get max allocation with at least one prop firm. And of course, just keep getting regular payouts. I don't really have like a specific number on how much I want to earn or something, but just continue to progress and slowly but surely we'll get there.
Fantastic. Well, I hope the firm you can get max allocation with is is Blueberry funded. We'd like to see that, and again, we can obviously check back in the future on
Mhm.
your journey to see how you go with that, and maybe even do a follow up on this. I mean, that brings us to the end of our questions, but I'm not sure if there's any like final words of wisdom or yeah, things that you wanted to leave the audience with just before we sign off.
I mean, I think I've given good advice already. I don't know. Words of wisdom, not
I think
quite
it's been
sure.
really solid. It's kind of I always say it's very interesting, because every single one of these, whenever I say what advice would you give traders, everyone says different things in a lot of ways, but everyone says don't rush it, take your time. Is like the
Really?
biggest like sort of takeaway from this. Yeah, we've done at least in 90% of them, it's always take your time. From this, it's something that I've found to be universal across all of our successful traders, and not even just interviewing people. The data shows it too. If you look at people who long term are getting more payouts, passing more accounts, their time to pass is a lot longer, and the number of trades they take to pass is a lot less. So, like the data backs it up.
Oh,
The great traders' storytelling backs it up, and I just think that's a great takeaway for everyone who's watching. And it's funny because anyone who keeps watching every single one of these will see me always comment on this, like, that's exactly what the last interview said. Um, and I think it's good. But that's what's great too, because even though there's all these strategies out there, like there's a million different ways you can learn to trade and manage risk. The one core theme is patience, which is psychological. And I think psychology can apply to any strategy, you know, no matter if it's scalping, swing trading, or whatever. So I think that's a really great takeaway, and I'm really glad that you've sort of backed that as well, Rich, in this interview series.
yeah, I didn't know that that was such a common thing because if you look on social media and stuff, they never say that. I never read that. Oh, just take your time.
Well, the social media is a very fast-paced environment. People want to make quick money. All the
Yeah,
mentors or the course sellers are saying get rich quick. It's all about speed, speed, speed. Um, And the funny thing is, the success is found in doing the exact opposite. It's removing yourself from the noise of social media. It's quiet,
Hmm.
in my opinion, that part of it, and it's patience as well. Because like the less noise, the less confusion, the less sort of analysis paralysis you have, and you can focus on doing, like you were saying, your own thing. You can focus on building a strategy from scratch and having more trust in the process. So I think it's all very interlinked in that sense.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be beneficial for many aspiring traders to just turn off social media and just don't look at it at all because, as you said, like it's too fast paced and too many people are trying to get money out of your pocket and stuff. So definitely stay
I
away
mean,
from social media.
it, it makes for entertaining times in the prop space. But yeah, I think for actual serious traders, it's more of a distraction than anything. So I think that's actually a great, word of wisdom to sort of like, some words of wisdom to end the podcast with. But yeah, Rich, it's been really great to sit down and talk with you. I'm looking forward to seeing your continued journey, in general with trading, but also, specifically with Blueberry Funded. And thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man.
Fantastic. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see everyone on the next Trader Spotlight in the next few weeks.